Record.
Okay.
I'll record to the cloud. All right. You're going to record to your computer?
I did.
Good girl. All right.
1, 2,
Okay.
3. Here we go.
All right. And Lori will do the introduction.
Hello, Wendy. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hi there. How are you? Good to see you, Lori.
I'm good. Good to see you. Well, your picture.
Okay, there we go.
There you are.
I've been ousted to the bedroom this evening for my meeting. So
Well, welcome from the bedroom.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised. No cat. Expected my cat.
Oh, he'll be back.
Absolutely. All
All right.
Well, I think we did get everybody in from the waiting room. Yes, Deb?
Just about another one. Kimberly Eaker is joining us.
Okay.
Ooh,
I
best
said that name
best
wrong.
bird sweatshirt of the day, right there.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. That is a great bird sweatshirt.
I'm saying, look at this.
And Peg is coming too. So
Okay.
we'll just wait maybe 30 seconds more and make sure everybody can get in that wants to be here.
I don't know how nice it was in Oklahoma, Becky, today, but here in Iowa, it was gorgeous.
It was really nice, but so windy. And I understand you guys like it's going all the way across. So I think you guys
Yeah.
got the wind too.
A little bit this afternoon, not bad.
It was 65 here with a southerly wind. Me and the dog were thrilled.
It was a gorgeous day.
Yep.
For sure. Well, I think I saw Peg got logged on. So
Yep.
I'm Lori Scoville. I'm Executive Director of Limestone Bluffs RC&D. Some of you know me, some of you may not, but I'm happy to see all of you here tonight joining us for this webinar. This is Developing Resilient Communities, the idea-friendly method. I assume that's what you're here for. If not, stick around and be a part of the meeting anyway, the conversation. We're just thrilled to be able to be partnering with Becky and Deb tonight, our presenters, as a part of our small business development project through the RC&D. And this was funded through a grant through USDA's Rural Business Development Program. And so we are thrilled that they're going to work with us to provide some workshops for small businesses and communities this spring. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. Save Your Town believes small towns can be saved by their own people using their own resources. Co-founders Deb Brown and Becky McCrae joined forces in May 2015 to help small towns and rural communities thrive. Their own experiences in agriculture, entrepreneurship, nonprofits, and government keep them grounded in the real world. Their research-backed, idea-friendly method helps communities be more resilient and more open to new ideas. They deliver speeches and presentations internationally, lead site visits, and community brainstorming sessions. They also create online videos and short courses of practical steps that can be put into action right away. Please join me in welcoming Becky and Deb. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Becky McCrae, and I am from Oklahoma.
And I'm Deb Brown, and I'm from Iowa. Now, today we're going to use the idea-friendly method to help you shape a better future for your community, even as we're facing incredible changes in our society all around us. You can leave your video off while we're presenting. We'll keep our video on, and we only have a handful of graphics that we'll share. So get your pen and paper ready because you're going to want to take notes. Several times we're going to give you a prompt of something you'll want to write down. Then we pause a little bit for you to jot a quick note. Now remember, you'll get a link to this recording of the video. That way you can review it and write as much or as little as you need and then start the video again. Please feel free to put your reactions in the chat. If a sentence or idea really connects with you, type it back in the chat so we know what's resonating with you. That also helps reinforce those ideas for everyone else. And of course, put your questions for us in there too. We're going to do our best to answer you personally during the Q&A time at the end. Now, if we're all ready, Becky, would you start us off?
Absolutely. I'll be glad to. You know, all of the change that we have been through recently has really torn at the fabric of our communities. And I know that we're all tired. We're all eager to get back to the community activities that we love. And we're all just deeply longing for some meaningful connections again. And if you remember, a year ago, we got a glimpse of that real community spirit at the beginning of quarantine when we all worked together. Everybody, we each did what we could to be part of the whole. And the phrase, we're all in this together, really felt like it meant something at first. But a lot has happened in the past year. So now we're in a place where we really feel these deep divisions that are tearing us apart. And it's hard to see what we can each do individually to bridge these divides. So deep down, we know that our own actions play a role in what our community becomes next. And we're each trying to do something that matters in our own local communities. But it is exhausting trying to do things that build our communities and make them better places to live when we're still doing them in the same old way that we were even before everything changed, when the world is changing so fast around us. So our traditional organizations feel like they're just full of entrenched leaders and hierarchy and formality and meetings and planning and bureaucracy and silos. And we impose all of that crushing formality on any new person or new idea or any hint of change. And we've been doing this for a long time. And one thing that really struck us from a couple of years ago was a group of teens were working to make their hometown, which was Miller, South Dakota, a better place. And like a lot of young people, they feel like there's nothing to do here. So those teens came up with this idea of a movie theater. They wanted a real indoor movie theater. And this is a town of 1,400 people. Now, one young woman named Abby started taking the lead on this project. And as she presented this idea to a formal meeting in her community, one of the adults said to her in front of everyone that the idea is too big, that it was going to fail, and that Abby should not even try. Now, I'd like you to be shocked by that, but I'm sure that you're not, because people have done this to you too, haven't they? Now, I just want to ask, did that adult hate Abby? Were they secretly scared that she was going to succeed and they had to try to stop her? No. They actually wanted to protect Abby. They didn't want her to fail. They wanted to protect her from the risk of looking bad. And that's the reason for all those silos, that bureaucracy, all those plans. People think they're helping you avoid failure. And you'll hear it in those words. We tried that once. That's not how we do things here. Slow down. We need to ask some more questions, and we better have some more time to think this over. What people are worried about is making mistakes, the risk of failure. And these hard choices that we've all faced around the pandemic have only made our decisions feel even riskier. So you may be tempted to agree with the slow down approach, but it's a trap. And it's a trap because we are terrible at judging the risk of failure. Author Margie Worrell says that using the latest brain imaging technologies, researchers have been able to prove that we are far less likely to fail than we think, and that we deny the risk of sticking with the status quo. Now, the real choice that we have to make isn't between how things are right now, where we're safe, and the risk of change, which is scary. The real choice is between the change that we make happen when we decide to act and the change that happens to us when we fail to act. So while we're moving slowly, taking time to talk things through one more time, asking one more round of questions before we do anything. The world is changing around us and changing us. And if we have learned anything from the past year, it is that the world really is changing and very fast. But I think the good news is that we in small towns, rural communities, we have survived before. We are resilient people. Our communities have endured the boom and bust cycles, the commodity crashes, mill and factory closures, and a lot of our towns, we have lost our economic reason for being and had to reinvent ourselves. We've lived through epidemics that happened decades ago and environmental disasters. We have reinvented ourselves. And right now, we are reinventing the way we do things together in our communities. And this is a real world example from my nearby big town of Alva, Oklahoma, which has a population of about 5,000 people. There's a group of moms who decided that our old 1950s era playground equipment at the city park was just out of date and unsafe, which it really was. They just started to work on finding some new, safe, fun equipment. They texted each other and they messaged and they group chatted, and they just found out what would work here and where to get it and how much it would cost. And they just started raising money. And they built their groups online and reached out over and over to the whole community. And they got it done. They got new playground equipment installed in that park. But they never bothered to elect officers until years later. And the moms just did it using the communications tools that all of us work with every day. And I know you've seen examples like this happen in your own community, and some have succeeded and maybe some of them have failed. Now, those moms didn't realize it, but they were using the idea-friendly method. You start with the big goal for your community, the thing that you feel will improve the quality of life. So in this case, it was kids playing safely together. And you use that goal to gather your crowd. Join us. And then you turn your crowd into a powerful network by building connections. And then you and that newly powerful network, you accomplish that goal by taking small steps. The moms didn't start with raising millions of dollars for all the new equipment all at once. They just started by improving the safety of the old equipment. And they didn't start by trying to do a full rehab of that old equipment. They started by fixing the most dangerous, sharp edges first. So that was a really small step first. Now, the claim that those moms were staking, their big goal was having a community gathering playground that was safe and fun for kids of all abilities to play together. And that's why they called their group the Alva Friends of Play. So I want you to think right now, get your pen. What is the claim you want to stake on your town? What do you most want for your community? So you can think about it this way, just how you would finish these sentences. If our town had, or if our town was, how would you finish those? And so I want you to write that down now, just one word, one sentence, just enough. And then you can feel free to put yours in the chat box if you want to share, and we'll give you just 10 seconds to think about that. Okay, that was 10. All right, now Deb is going to take us into detail on the idea-friendly method.
We start with take small steps because really that's where the magic is. What would be the old way to take small steps in traditional organizations? Meet and plan. You would meet and meet and meet, talk everything through a few times over. You'd search for other towns that have done it and look for proof that it would work. You'd keep meeting. Of course, you'd hold some votes, let everyone add to it, let anyone object to any part that might be controversial. You're making things bigger and bigger and bigger and blander as you water it down. You can't take any action until everything is planned out and nailed down. Sound familiar? What's the new way to take small steps? Well, find the world's tiniest way to test the idea right now. So you move from a model of trying to get proof before you can do anything to actually getting proof by doing the test or trial run. Now, can you test your idea with an online post or a temporary experiment? Can you do a really small version of it and see what happens? I'm going to tell you lots of those ideas will fail. In fact, most ideas will fail. Author Clay Shirky says, failure is free, high quality research, offering direct evidence of what works and what doesn't. And that's one of the most popular quotes we share. I'm going to tell you again. Failure is free, high quality research, offering direct evidence of what works and what doesn't. By keeping the tests and trials very small and immediate, we can reduce the cost of failure to almost nothing. By working to draw in a whole lot of people, we can put so many people to work testing so many ideas quickly that we're cheaply crowdsourcing the future of our communities. We all make our places every day by how we use them. Sitting down on a bench downtown and enjoying the sunshine, that helps make a place. Driving through downtown at 35 miles an hour without stopping makes it a different kind of place. You can do anything small. Pull weeds, paint something, spread your art, bring the fun, googly eyes. I love googly eyes. String some lights, do something in public, read a book, talk to a friend, go eat at the picnic table. Those small steps build up and they make your community the kind of place it's going to be next. When we talked about changing the trajectory of your community, science educator Steve Mayer said, significant change will occur with minimal force if applied over an extended period of time. So let's look back at your big idea, what you wrote down for your community. What small step can you take right away? Who can you call or text? What could you do this week? What minimal force could you exert to generate significant change over time? I'm going to give you a moment to write it down. 1 or 2 ideas. What one small step? Lori's curious about the googly eyes. We'll talk about that later.
There's googly eyes. There could be googly eyes. Okay. We're going to move on to gather your crowd. Now, you gather your crowd with a big idea, one that excites people and makes them feel like they can play a role in it. So it doesn't have to be big crowds in person, but it can be online, or it could be small groups, or it can be happening at different times, asynchronous. And so what would be the old way to gather a crowd to work on any project? Well, that would be when you assign people to committees. I'm sure you've been assigned to committees. Well, a real Chamber of Commerce actually sent out this email to their members, and it says, the Chamber of Commerce is planning for our annual programs. Please see attached and let us know which committee you are willing to serve on. Thank you for your support. Now, you've gotten emails like this. I'm sure you have. But the new way to gather your crowd is not assign people to committees, it's plant a flag that people can be drawn to. The State and Sublimity Chamber of Commerce in Oregon actually killed off their committees, and now they gather people only when they need them, using that big goal to attract them. Elena Turpin told us they spend more time telling people how they make a difference in the community. They plant a flag. And she said, then your organization becomes a movement that people can get behind and not just another volunteer opportunity. And so there's a difference of attitude between please see attached for volunteer opportunities and becoming a movement that people want to get behind. And that difference is that idea-friendly attitude. Now you plant a flag with that big idea because there are people out there who want to join you, but they've been beaten down by the negativity the same as you have. And they need someone to start something in an idea-friendly way. Author Clay Shirky says the number of people who are willing to start something is much smaller than the number of people who are willing to contribute once someone else starts something. And Jason Roberts with the Better Block Project says that's what always happens when they choose to improve just one street in a neighborhood. They plant that flag with the idea out there and people come out of the woodwork to join in. They were there all the time waiting for someone to get things started. And more importantly, they're waiting for someone to start in a new idea-friendly way, because we will not come out of the woodwork for a typical old way crushing opportunity with bunch of planning and formality because we've all been burned out by those crushing formalities. So you plant your flag to collect the people who are excited enough to take action in this new way. People who are willing to pitch in, even in small ways, are so much more valuable than any number of people who are only serving because it got pinned on them. So, of course, this is important. Not everyone will agree or be attracted to your big idea or the flag you plant. And that's okay. They were never going to help you anyway. You cannot lose people who were never yours. Now, the town of Pullman, Washington, had a bit of a dirty sidewalk problem. Every time it rained, dirt and leaves and stuff would wash up out of the streets and onto their sidewalks because they're kind of on a hillside. So it's pretty messy. And at a meeting, they talked about doing another cleanup day like they had done before, but nobody came to that flag. Nobody was excited about that idea. And then Willow, who's a business owner, put up her hand and she said, I'll clean up my own sidewalk. And she did. But how do we get from one person cleaning her own sidewalk to a crowd of people cleaning up all of downtown on an ongoing basis so that we don't even need to keep scheduling cleanup days? Well, you have to actually start by cleaning your own sidewalk. And then you can take pictures and then you can put it on social media and then you can make up your own hashtag like clean your own sidewalk day. And then you can invite people. Hey, it's clean your own sidewalk day. You can join in and you can tag other people by name and say, did you know it's clean your own sidewalk day? And the more you make a big deal out of how anyone can join their sidewalk and do their own sidewalk, then someone else is going to join you. And maybe even a lot of someone's. And this actually worked in Pullman. Other merchants followed Willow's lead. They all started sweeping their sidewalks on Wednesdays in the afternoons. And then the city joined in, and now they send around their street sweeper around on early on Thursday mornings. And that's how you gather your crowd. You plant that flag with your idea and you be conspicuous doing that thing in public and invite others to join in with you and make it easy to join in. All that you had to do was like sweep your own sidewalk, right? It's not that hard. So this is your best way to attract people who are initially resistant. I mean, can you imagine if Willow had sat at that meeting and tried to convince everyone to change their minds? Forget doing another cleanup day. We should all sweep our own sidewalks, right? And then she tried to convince the city, hey, you should change the work schedule for the guy that rides the street sweeper around and do that to go with us. Everyone would have resisted, right? They would have defeated that with a bunch of negativity. Instead, Willow attracted them by taking her own action, planting her own flag, making it easy to join in. So instead of obsessing about changing other people, focus on taking your own actions, becoming a movement people can get behind. So what would it look like if you had your crowd together doing the very first small steps of your big idea? Do you have your own version of clean your own sidewalk day, some way to get it started? So pick up your pen. We'll give you just a few seconds to write that down now. And feel free to put anything into the chat box, whether that's the idea you're working on, something that you wanted to bounce some ideas around with your peers, or you want to get some feedback, or if you've got a question. We will be stopping at the end specifically for questions, and we will also take some questions as we're going. Now, we do know that your neighbors aren't all equally motivated to work on any project or idea with you. So we have to give them small but meaningful ways to be involved. I want to show you a picture of this. This is the power law of how involved people will be in any project. And I actually want you to draw this in your notes. So there are a few people like you that are super excited, right? They are the tall part of the graph, but then it tapers off immediately from there. There's like you, and then your best friend who's also excited with you. They're kind of less excited, and then it just goes right off the cliff, right? And then that dotted line you see, that is kind of where the old formal organizations end. Like that would be the end of the committee right there. And so everybody that's out there to the left of the line or to the right of the line, they're off the committee. They're outside the formal organization. They're on the long tail. They're just interested in the idea, but just they have low motivation. And so these people traditionally don't contribute enough to be worth including in an old way hierarchy. But what if we could flip this model over? Then the fog behavioral model tells us, oops. Then the fog behavioral model tells us that these people can contribute too. We just have to make the size of the step we want them to take really small so it will match their level of motivation. Like just clean your own sidewalk, right? And so then it can add up. And we give people small but meaningful ways to contribute. We use our new tools, online groups. An activity like clicking like or share actually matters if we let that add up. So we don't have to cut people off anymore. And so those contributions stack up and up, and that is what turns it into a powerful force. So what small but meaningful contribution? I want you to look back at what you just wrote down for an action step and think, what's the small but meaningful version of that anyone could do? So write that down now. Deb?
Well, you started by taking small steps. Then you gathered your crowd with a big idea. Now you turn your crowd into a powerful network by building connections. And here's a real specific example. In Idaho, economic developer Jessica said she's dying to get a microbrewery in her town. And you know, Becky, I think she's the only town in Idaho where they don't already have one. She's been going around telling everybody she meets, you should open a microbrewery. And so far, it hasn't worked because that's not quite the same thing as building connections. Well, what would be the old way to get a microbrewery? The old way, Jessica could bring it up at a meeting of her economic development board. They could refer it to the subcommittee, order a feasibility study, and eventually add it to their plan. Then they can tell Jessica to watch the list of companies wanting to relocate to see if a microbrewery comes up. Or they can start secret negotiations with a nearby microbrewery and offer them incentives to get them to open a branch in their town. And meanwhile, a couple of years have gone by. Well, instead, why not start a home brew group? Bring together people who are interested in beer, people who like to brew their own beer at home. Maybe start with an online group on Facebook. Then get them in the same place, a backyard or garage, and let them share their ideas and just talk. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to drink beer. And I'm betting a brewery will come out of that. You might even know of a microbrewery that started that way. A home brewer decided to make the leap, but this is different. Imagine how much more likely they'll be to succeed if they have a group of supportive home brewers that they've been talking with already to encourage them, to help with connections to suppliers and other brewers who have made the leap, or to work out problems, even come volunteer and help the staff when the microbrewery launches. That's the idea-friendly way. Informal, yes, it's chaotic, with a crowd of people just testing things, connecting openly, taking small steps, and I'd say having fun. We know community happens when people talk to each other, and people like to talk to each other. They like to talk online, they like to talk in person, and that builds connections. By connecting more people in more ways, we're building social capital. We're building better connections inside our various groups in our communities, but we're also bridging across our diverse groups in our communities to connect them as well. Bringing people from your community together across divides is the best thing you can do to rebuild the fabric of your community. Professor Brian Uzi from Northwestern University says his research shows that getting more diverse people involved will get more innovative ideas. Different people do different things. People raised in different families, different cultures, different places will have ideas that are even more different. We'll innovate more. We'll come up with more innovative solutions to our work and the problems our communities face. And we need innovative ideas because our 1950 ideas won't serve us any better today than that 1950s playground equipment. Now let's look back at if our town big idea that you wrote down. If our town ... How could you get people together and actually do it or do something related to it? What is the equivalent of the homebrew group that would support your big idea? And please write that down. Okay, as we wrap up, we've put the whole idea-friendly method on screen so you can note it down or grab a quick screenshot. And remember, you'll get the link to a recording of this video so you can grab it later. Now is the time to also start putting your questions into the chat.
I'm going to give you the 5-second countdown on the screen if you're shooting a screenshot. Okay. I think the most encouraging thing that we can tell you today is that we have figured this out. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to be open to new ideas. That's how we all survive change. Iowa State University actually studied 99 small towns right there in Iowa over a period of 20 years. And in that time, some of those towns experienced every kind of change that you can imagine. So some of them lost a manufacturer, others gained a big new business, and some lost a local school, or others had big growth in their schools. And some were hit by natural disasters and others were spared. What the researchers concluded was that no matter what happened or didn't happen, the towns that prospered the best were the ones that were open to new ideas and welcomed new people into making decisions. Now, being open to new ideas requires us to let go of worrying about whether the idea will work. Being open to new ideas means not telling Abby, the teenager with the movie theater idea, that she was going to fail and that she shouldn't even try. Instead, it means asking her, how will you take small steps? What can your group come up with as a temporary idea? And maybe they'll come up with an approach that you never would have. And in fact, Abby and her group really did. They created a temporary movie theater right in the high school auditorium. The teens picked a kids' movie and invited the grade school kids to be their audience. Abby and all the other teens, they ran the theater. They ran tickets, they ran concessions and everything else. And for one day, they created a real indoor movie theater experience for those younger kids, the kind of experience that those teens wished they could have had when they were kids. So you have to move from just picking one idea that you think is the best and most likely to succeed to letting people try them all and learn from the process. So you're moving from voting to testing, from deciding which ones you think will work to learning which ones are working because you're already doing them or someone's already trying them out in a very small test. Now, this is one idea I think that probably wouldn't get picked by most formal organizations is a rock hunt. Now, you've probably seen communities that do this. It's a very simple idea. You paint small rocks and then you hide them around in the downtown. And people will get out with their kids and they hunt for them. And then when you find a rock, you post its photo online. And if you love the rock, you can keep it. And then you paint a new rock and put in its place. And so then you have this ongoing thing of silly fun of painting and hiding rocks. And it's also something that works with social distancing and wearing masks or any other limits that you have to obey right now. But it's also real community building. We want to be the kind of community where people get out as families and do things together. Maybe that's our big idea, our flag we've planted. Or we want to be the community where we will spend our own time and effort to make a positive, memorable experience happen for other people, like Abby and her friends did for those younger kids. Or maybe we want to be the place where we get involved for families and kids, right? It's up to you. Now, in Bolivar, Missouri, they actually tried a rock hunt, and in 7 days, they had 3,000 people join their Facebook group. I mean, that is like the equivalent of the entire population of their town. And then a city administrator actually said in an interview, he said, if you set up 10 different things and said, which of these things do you think will spark the community and take off? I don't know if this is the idea I would have picked. And that's the point. We don't know which one idea will work. So there is no reason to set up 10 different ideas and then vote on them or try to pick just one. Just let 10 people test 10 ideas or 100 ideas. Consensus is not going to happen from voting on what most people want or trying to compromise until the majority of the people in the meeting room can finally reluctantly agree. Think about that meeting room in Pullman, Washington, where they had the dirty sidewalks. If they had voted in that room at the time, the majority would have voted for assigning the Chamber of Commerce to hold another cleanup day, even though that did not work to create lasting change. The consensus that happened there, consensus emerged from action. The actions people were actually motivated enough to take. Now, the whole group may not go in the direction that you personally would want or the way that you have always done things. But when you plant your flag with your big idea, then you're picking the direction you're going to go. You clean your sidewalk, and the people who want to do that too will come with you. It will never go back to the way it used to be. You have to start from here and go forward, one small step at a time. That has never been more true. It will never go back to the way it used to be. In fact, the time has passed when a few influential people could gather in a room to decide what your city will become. Civic expert Carol Coletta actually said this. Instead, your community's future is being decided by the actions taken every day by all the people in your town, based on what they believe about your town's future and their role in it. Now, the good news is you have already started your idea-friendly journey. You know, these notes that you've made today are idea-friendly notes, and you have a big idea that will improve the quality of life for people in your community. And you know how to gather a crowd together, even if it's online. And I know you are terrific at building connections because you're the kind of folks that came out today. And now you just have to take small steps, starting with just one, and you will create the community you most want to belong to.
Everybody, we would love to hear your stories, your ideas, and of course your questions. And the chat box is open. Put them in the chat box and we're going to answer them personally. And to let you know, if you are a little nervous about putting your idea or question in the chat box, I'll just call on you.
She will too. I've seen her do it.
I'm from Iowa. You know, we do those kind of things, right?
Just do those things. Right. And I know I hit mute on a couple of you just for a little background noise that came through. But if you want to unmute and discuss your question, we will be glad to kick it around and brainstorm with you. We've got about 10 minutes right here where we are wide open for your questions and to help you with any of your ideas.
Absolutely. Maybe I should start with Lori. Lori, what did you write down? Yeah, I pick on everybody.
And you can answer in the chat, or you can come back on video, or whatever works for you, because this is all.
Well, you are putting me on the spot. I was thinking, and I did put it in the chat earlier, about all the new outside seating that was added in our small towns by restaurants. And I really think that's something that will last. But it would be fun on a more community-wide scale to promote and develop that, instead of driving through your community, a more stop by and chat and have those conversations. And those have been added in so many of our small towns in our area that I just think that is one of the, if we can pick out some nice things that happened during the pandemic, I think that's one of them.
Well, I know that you said maybe it could be eat your lunch outside today. Thanks,
I know,
Wendy. We'll
that's the
miss
new
you.
hashtag, right?
And you know what? It doesn't mean you have to go eat at a restaurant. It could very
Oh,
simply
bring your
be
lunch.
take your bag lunch and go sit at the picnic table.
Yes.
Definitely.
All
Well, and I
right.
think what's really popular right now too is the creation of some of these pocket parks
Pocket parks.
Yeah.
in downtown areas that just beg for that. I think that would be really fun to do.
Yeah.
And right now you could be socially distant while you did that.
Mhm.
Definitely. Well, Wendy had to leave.
I'm totally taking this hashtag of eat your lunch outside day.
Do like
New
that.
hashtag, new hashtag.
Sarah, you're a chamber director, right?
Actually, no, I'm the city clerk.
Oh, well, then you have even more ideas, right?
Well, I have lots of scribbles.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your big idea? What did you start out with?
Well, I had some that were positive and some that were negative.
Okay,
Because
let's-
honestly, my first thing was if our town had a better reputation.
Sure. Well, we would, instead of saying a better reputation, if everybody knew how awesome we were.
And that's how I feel.
Right.
That's how I feel. And I'm not from our town originally.
Right.
And that's what's hard is I feel like we're constantly trying to promote our community within our larger area, and feel like it's kind of getting knocked down. Well, it's Hopkett and it's hot, and it's like, no, like, look at all the good things we have done. Look at what we're doing here and what we've done there, and come and see it, and trying to get everyone else on the same page with that.
So I'm thinking the Hop Kitten is awesome hashtag is coming, right? Like,
I have a lot of hashtags written down actually now.
and
Yeah.
I'm telling you that is one way that, thanks, Kimberly. That is one way that you actually change the conversation is by shaping the conversation, by telling people
Yeah.
what you want them to talk about. If you say, gosh, look at all these empty buildings, right? And call it abandoned building, and that's your hashtag, then that's everybody's going to talk about it that way. But if you say opportunity Hop Kitten, they're going to be like, opportunity.
Well, and the thing is
right? Like, so
I don't think people realize everything that we have going on here.
No, they don't.
That we really do. I mean, Lori
don't.
can probably attest that we do have a lot in Hop Kitten. I think it's just so many years of people being here and just those negative ideas that it's like, put those out, come and visit, see what we have, see,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And so
And-
what can you do tomorrow? What one small step can you do tomorrow to shout out about your great Hop Kitten town?
Well, I think I'm probably going to use some new hashtag and maybe take some pictures for our social media, which we kind of post regularly, but, and I'm going to make my whole city council people watch this.
Awesome.
And our city workers, because I think a lot of that starts with them.
Absolutely. And you know what? They don't get
so-
the credit they deserve. We totally understand how hard it is to
Former city administrator, I'm telling you.
former chamber director, and which not part of the city, but I get it. And I love that you're going to have them watch it too, because they deserve all the praise they deserve.
Well, and we're a
share
town
the
of
good stuff they're doing.
600. So it's, yeah,
love
we don't have a chamber. We don't have, I mean,
You're
it's
it.
it's my office right here does it all. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm thinking
So-
the new hashtag is yes, Hop Kitten. Or something, like there's an idea, right? So when they go, what, Hop Kitten? Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I like that. Yeah. My head is just kind of spinning right now.
Cool. Cool.
Awesome.
Tag us, right?
I want to reach out to Jim and Mary Sorensen. Please tell me where you're from, because I can't see you, but I have an idea I might know you. If you tell me where you're from.
And I hit mute on you earlier, so I may need to unmute.
And you can do it in the chat box if you'd be more comfortable there.
Absolutely.
I think they're quiet. Lori, do you know Jim and Mary? Well,
Okay.
first of all, thanks for being here. Oh, good. You're coming off a mute.
If
Where are
we,
you guys at?
we're in Makokada. I figured out how to get it off the mute or on. Yeah, off the-
Yeah. Awesome.
Makokada. What was your big idea? I don't think I do know you. I know somebody else with the same name. But tell me your big idea.
Well, I'm not ideas yet. We're
thinking is we didn't actually come up with anything. So we're just kind of listening and doing things at the same time.
Right. Right.
Gotcha. That's okay.
These things happen.
Makokata is a beautiful community. It's one of my favorite in your neck of the woods. So
Well, just tell us one thing you like about your community.
Friendly people.
There we
friendly
go.
people. Excellent. And where would I go to meet friendly people in your town?
At the winery here or the businesses downtown or.
Ooh, see? Now you're coming up with a thought here. Friendly Makokata. Just a thought, right? So there are 3 people I haven't picked on yet. There are 3 people I haven't asked to participate. How's that? Amy, Peg, and Emily. Anyone, look, Sarah said I should come to Hopkitten to see how awesome we are in Eastern Iowa.
Oh, good. There's the correct spelling
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it too. All
yeah.
right.
I went to school at Luther, so I'm a little familiar. Oh, look at that face. What did I miss? Anyway, Peg, join us. Tell us what you're thinking about. Do you know how to unmute? It's in the lower left-hand corner of your screen.
Hold on. The ask. Sometimes.
Looking for inspiration.
All
Got
right,
it.
well, you can steal some ideas from Hopkitten,
Yeah, that's just a phone call for sure.
as well as any of the fun things that we talked about. So there's all of
Yep.
that too.
Yep. I know Lori has a few more things she wants to tell this group
Yep,
about, don't you?
That's fine.
What's coming up?
I do have a few more things that I want to share. We are thrilled to be able to talk about these great ideas, but we have the opportunity through the RC&D to bring Deb into some of our communities for embedded community experiences. Sarah.
On-site visit.
Who just, us by osmosis knew that maybe we were going to talk about that. Not really. It's just part of our grant that we'll be able to offer that. And we're looking for actually a couple of counties where we can bring Deb in, where she can visit several communities and talk to people and talk about these ideas, planting these flags. I love that idea because I serve on a lot of committees and I always like to make sure we get things done. And I like that idea of only working with people that are really motivated and want to get things accomplished. So we have that opportunity. So I open that up to anyone who is with us tonight or watches this recording that reach out to me at the RC&D. My contact information is in the chat, and send me an email and let me know that you would be interested in having Deb come visit. We're, like I said, we're going to work with communities that want to work with this program. And so we're looking to have that happen. Deb, remind me when that might be? What
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote the dates down because the first one is May 3rd through the 6th, and the second one is June 7th through the 10th.
So
and we'll put that in the chat box.
Yeah. We have a little time to curate that and work out the details for those visits. But we think that will be very beneficial, not only for small businesses in growing their own business, but then how small businesses can work together to grow the community. Because we're all in it together. I think that's the big takeaway about that. The other part of this grant-funded project that we're doing through Limestone Bluffs RC&D is that we're doing additional workshops with Save Your Town, and we have several that are coming up. I'm gonna list them really quick because of course I'm that person. I have them all on a list here. We're going to do Beating the Online Competition on April 13th. We're going to do Restarting Local Shopping on May 11th. And in June 15th, we'll be doing Creating Events People Will Attend. And these are great, great sessions just to start those juices flowing and get these ideas and starting that communication, I think, within your communities. So we're all about, growing rural vitality in Eastern Iowa. And we think that this series will certainly help grow some of our small businesses and communities as well. I don't know, ladies, did I forget anything to mention about the visits?
So I'll share briefly about the visit because it's different. I don't come in with a template and tell you what to do. And that would be rude. And we just don't do that kind of stuff. But I come and I talk to as many people as possible, either individually or as a group, and ask them what they want. And then we develop a conversation around that, an idea-friendly conversation. I take a ton of notes, and then there'll be a presentation that last evening where I tell you what you told me. This is what you said you want. And here's some stories from other communities that are doing exactly that with a few suggestions. So it's very productive. And by the time I leave, you guys have already started on some idea-friendly steps and done some really cool things. It's fun. It definitely is fun.
And gets people into action right away, and then keeps that momentum going.
Yeah.
And along with the visits, Deb didn't mention, but along with the visits, you also get a membership to all of our videos. We have recorded videos on like 24 topics, everything from finding volunteers to dealing with negativity to refilling your business pipeline. And all of those videos, then you have access to those for a full year then, which is really super helpful. So like Sarah, you talked about share this with the city, then you can share those videos within your community. So besides getting Deb to come to town, get everybody worked up and excited and moving and doing things together. And then you have those videos as like a reminder of, oh yeah, here's that excitement. We still have the excitement. There's a way to keep things going as opposed to like it kind of like, we all know how this, like it runs down slowly.
And we also know these watch parties, you can do the same thing in your communities, which is really cool. You can do it online or you could do it live if depending on where you are with how things are rolling out. And they're short, they're half an hour, right around 30 minutes. And there's lots of room for discussion afterwards, which is exactly what you want to encourage. Oh, by the way, a crowd is at least 2 people. So it could
Right,
be
like-
you and somebody else, just saying.
There's
Snacks, right?
yes. There's you and there's your partner in all good things, your partner in crime, right? Like that helps you with all the great ideas. The one you can talk into doing anything, right? There's a tractor going down the road in front of my house. I just want you to
Becky lives in a town of 30 people. Just do
We're
you
not a
think you're
town.
small? You're not even incorporated, are you?
No, we're not.
So she lives
Although
in
my neighbor is the mayor because he gets like he stops and talks to everybody and knows everybody's business.
the unofficial mayor of no
The
town.
unofficial mayor of Hopeton. That's us.
So does anyone have any remaining questions?
I'm going to put Deb's email address here in the chat and mine as well, because you can reach out to us and we'll be glad to talk
We
with
answer.
you. Say your town, like what's our name?
Perfect timing because I hear my puppy barking.
Bark, bark, bark. So this is a great point to wrap up. We just want to say thanks. We want to say thank you to you for taking time out of your day to come and build some enthusiasm together because we know you do great things for your community. We want to say thank you to Lori for providing this opportunity to us and to you to improve your communities and to work on community vitality. Feel free to reach out to us. You can save the chat. And there's the little 3 dots thing on the little chat window right where you type your message. You can save the chat so you have all of this stuff together. And Lori will be sending out a link that will have a link to the recording of this so that you can go back and watch and share with others. So thank you all very much. Deb, did you have any last thoughts?
No, I look forward to meeting 2 counties.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to
Reach
be
out to Lori. Yep.
Yeah. All
Yep.
right.
Send me an email.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Becky McRae from the Hopeton, Oklahoma, population 30.
And I'm Deb Brown from Webster City, Iowa, population about 8,100.
Huge,
Wow.
huge town.
I'm from Fort Dodge originally.
Oh, she's a neighbor. Okay. Then you
Exactly.
know where I am. We're all
Yep.
neighbors, frankly, aren't
Yep.
we?
Yeah.
We are all neighbors in Iowa for sure.
For sure. Yep. Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank
Thanks,
you for
folks.
attending tonight. We really appreciate it.
Bark.
Thank you.
Thank you.